So I just make that point because when you say that you work very closely, with your customers, with your clients, that comes from your roots of building these, very sophisticated gaming platforms. So yeah. Well, let's talk about where, as a infrastructure operator and an infrastructure operator at massive scale, what is the role? What have you seen the role of CPU, GPU, and ASICs been? And we can keep it, of course, kind of focused more on the video processing, video encoding side, but I would like you to comment on just even the network operations side, where you're seeing, some of those technologies maybe expand.
Oh, yes. So actually, I see it on a number of layers, right? So on the network side of things, on the core routers, I mean, if you look back 20 years ago and now there's such an evolution in chipsets, dedicated custom-baked silicon to FPGAs to also normal ASICs again, but it's always focused on dedicated resources in hardware at scale.
Yeah.
And now it's funny that we also see it in the server components happening as well. Like you normally have your traditional network card, right? Like a gigabit, a 10 gigabit, 25 gigabit, or even 100 gig card. But in some of our services, for especially Enter DDoS, for example, we really need to go really deep into the packet layer, into the inspection layer. And for that as well, we've moved to ASICs and even some FPGA-based cards on the network side of things. Similarly, what we see in the AI offering, right? So, yes, you can go with the famous brand from NVIDIA and always buy the Ferrari for everything that you do.
Exactly.
And I'm 100% it will work. It
Yeah.
will work for sure.
Yeah.
But if your model is trained, right, and all you're going to do is inferencing, then it might make sense to go for, again, a specialized ASIC chipset who is awesome, for example, at that inferencing workload and model switching, and doesn't need all the other stuff that you're not going to use, which in turn, in theory, substantially lowers your cost per token.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing in general many components, and also, of course, with GPUs, you specialize certain components if it matches the workload that you do operationally the majority of the time, and then it makes a lot of sense to go with specialized chipsets. Yeah.
Yeah. Is I'm curious, your choices of silicon support or actually large language model support, so we're talking here in the context of accelerators, so dedicated silicon. I know that there's a number of manufacturers out there that are focused on Llama. There's others that are optimized around Anthropic, and there's, everybody, by definition, you kind of have to pick your foundational model that you're going to accelerate, and then you build silicon for it. I'm just curious, are you seeing or hearing, more requests for any particular foundational model or technology, or do you have to support them all? And
Pretty much the latter. The latter. We have to support a lot of them. And what's really interesting for us that there are more and more chipsets which align with that idea. We say we are good with most of the models, even from small ones to some of the big ones, and we're really good at switching them. Like, let's say if you have an agentic workload, which puts a certain query through multiple different models to get to the end result, I believe you're going to see more and more of these kinds of workloads. There's also another client that we work with who is active in the trust and safety space on voice moderation, and as well they have the user voice sample. It goes to different models after each other based on the complexity and flags it raised. So actually, if you can switch really quickly with your existing chipsets, you don't have to keep them running all at the same time on multiple boxes, but you can just the whole process. So that's some of the innovations that I'm now also seeing in this space, which is
that
really
makes
interesting. Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense because I am it'd be safe to say I'm dabbling in building my own agents, and mostly to bring efficiency to common marketing tasks. So
Yeah.
nothing like like what you're building. but even in the very, 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 very simplistic way, I've learned I learned very quickly that when you can run one model and even a particular version of that model, and really optimize the prompt and optimize it, and then you have a different model for some other function. When you bring it together, you get a really powerful, like to me, that's where these workflows really start to become
100%.
pretty breathtaking. The foundational models are amazing by themselves. The fact that you can just write a fairly simple prompt and say, give me research on X, Y, and Z, and go here, go here, go there. And then what you get back is a 15-page, like, incredible paper. I mean, that's amazing. But when you build these agentic workflows and you optimize, the prompts and you apply different models, wow, it is that's when it's like the X10
Exactly,
acceleration,
exactly, and it's great, Mark, when because you're doing this, you're already ahead of like 99.9% of the general AI users, and that is where the difference comes
Yeah,
in.
most people are still going to chat
Yeah,
GPT
exactly.
and saying, write me a blog post. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Incredible.